Hey everyone, Gill Gross here, and it is time for a preview of the 2022 US Open men's final between Carlos Alcaraz and Casper Ruud. The winner becomes number one in the world as a little bonus, a cherry on top. So that's pretty crazy. I don't know what the odds of all of these things converging at once, right? The winner will win their first major and become number one for the first time. Whoever wins. That's pretty nuts. And a nice little extra added storyline. I don't think it affects the match much, because both players are in the same position here. It's probably, if anything, a tad more important, maybe adds a little more pressure on Ruud, because I would say if he doesn't win this match, there's I don't know, a 10% chance that he never becomes number one in his career. Whereas Alcaraz, it's closer to really like a 0% chance, maybe a 1% chance. But, we're really splitting hairs here. Both of them will probably at some point become number one regardless of the outcome of this match, is kind of what I'm trying to say. I'm excited, though, here. And I am kind of glad. I'm glad, okay, it would have been awesome to see Frances Tiafoe win the U.S. Open, right? But in terms of the number one ranking itself, it would have felt a little weird for Ruud to lose the U.S. Open final and become number one in the world, having never won a title above the 250 level. It would have felt a little weird. Not that it would have been undeserved. It would have been fully deserved because, what are we going to do? Argue with the math? But it obviously wouldn't have been as glorious of an accomplishment as it will be now. Whoever becomes number one, they will have done it with a bang. So I love that. Head-to-head in this matchup is 2-0 Alcaraz, 4-0 in sets. They played in Marbella 2021 on clay. That was not very close at all. Alcaraz won. They played in the Miami final as well, and that was a somewhat tight two sets, 7-5, 6-4. Marbella was 6-2, 6-4. So since they've played a recent match on a hard court, a slower hard court, but a hard court, it's certainly worth diving into what happened in that match in depth. Then I will talk about what I think Alcaraz needs to do to win the match, what I think Ruud needs to do to win the match, and I will give a prediction at the end. So let's do a little Miami deep dive. The difference in the match was the points 0 through 4. Medium length rallies, long rallies were pretty much even, but Alcaraz dominated the short rallies, and it was especially lopsided on his serve. On 0 through 4 shot rallies on the Carlos Alcaraz serve, Carlitos won 35-6. So unbelievably lopsided here. And that is because the Ruud return against the Alcaraz serve +1 was a really big mismatch here. First of all, 38% of Alcaraz's first serves were unreturned, which against the level of serving, the level server that Alcaraz is really not a good job by Ruud, and he needs to do better in this match if he wants a chance. I remember Hurkacz in the previous match, it was 15%. So Ruud did way worse than Hurkacz. However, the bigger problems was that Ruud was either standing in and blocking his return of serve, or standing back, and then there were other problems. But basically, when Ruud was in, Alcaraz was hitting very safe first serves, wasn't going anywhere near the line, and even if Alcaraz hit a bad first serve, missed his spot, right in the wheelhouse, right to Ruud's forehand, block. There was no drive returning from Ruud whenever he stood in. So Alcaraz was like, okay, if you're not going to make me hit a good first serve, I'll just hit into the middle of the box and you're going to block it. And if you block it, my racket speed, my pace generation is so good on my forehand that you're going to be in trouble. So cool. Keep blocking my return, buddy. I love that. And that's kind of how it went. Now, sometimes Ruud stood back. not on the deuce side. He was in all the time on the deuce side, but on the ad side, he stood back. So then Alcaraz changed the serve, and he said, all right, if you're going to stand back, I'm going to kick it to your backhand. And Ruud would end up hitting backhands from way off the court, both, 12 feet behind the baseline and outside the sideline from a terrible position. And that was just not setting him up to win the point, because Ruud's backhand, especially at this point, was also just not really strong enough to hit from that position. Plus, Alcaraz could serve and volley, which he did on, where do I have it? Oh, there it is. 33% of his ad side points was a serve and volley, and he won 11. I think, was it all 11? I'm not sure. I don't have that in my notes, but I know he won 11 serve and volley points. And remember, these were pretty short, sets. So that is significant, and it was working really well. He also Alcaraz won every point when he hit within 6 inches of the left sideline, right? The ad sideline. So whenever he hit a good serve on the ad side to Ruud's backhand, he won the point. Literally. So, he really just won every point, a vast majority of points in the serve plus one category. Just a ton of points. So that was a huge key. Also, Ruud, I thought, kind of overpressed. He got off to a good start in that match in Miami, redlined on the forehand, then started to make some errors on the forehand, but was kind of forcing his way up to net. He went to net 22 times in the 2 sets, which is a lot for Casper Ruud, and he only won 13 of the points, and Alcaraz missed a lot of passing shots. So I thought it could have been worse than 13 out of 22. But Ruud, he felt very desperate to be on offense, and he was kind of net rushing uncharacteristically recklessly, if that makes sense. I actually didn't think Alcaraz played a great match here. I thought he played all right, average at best. I thought there were some parts of Alcaraz's game that weren't even working very well, and he still won in straights because the level. And coming into that match, I did not think Ruud had much of a chance. However, things have changed. Ruud has improved his return to serve vastly, and he's improved his backhand vastly. So with that, let's get into this U.S. Open final preview. I mean, you know what I mean. Let's move on from the Miami topic, is what I'm really saying. How Alcaraz wins. So yeah, look for those same Miami patterns. I'm curious, is Ruud going to still be blocking that return? Forehand, backhand, Alcaraz needs to really feel that out. And then is he going to stand back on the ad side? I don't think he will. That's one thing I don't think we'll see. Because if he does, kick serve to the backhand, come in. So look for those Miami patterns. But then what I think Alcaraz can do a lot better than a lot of the players Ruud faced is have a focus in the baseline patterns that would be, don't be afraid of the forehand. Go to the forehand. Go to it with pace. Go to it with interest. Don't give Ruud time on the forehand. Don't let him set his feet too easily on the forehand, but go there often. And Alcaraz hits such a big ball that he has the ability to do that. So I really don't think Alcaraz should be hitting majority of his trades to the backhand side if he can help it. I think he should go to the forehand. Just go there with quality because you want to get Ruud to hit backhands on the move. If you can get Ruud to hit backhands on the move, you can get him to slice. And I feel like that's how Alcaraz should construct the points. Go to the forehand with pace, go to the backhand with width in the respect that he's moving. And then once you get that slice, Alcaraz has the speed to come in, to sneak in and finish volleys against the slice, or he can take control with his forehand off the Casper Ruud slice, which, defensively, the the detail here is that Ruud doesn't, although his backhand has improved, he still doesn't have a very good open stance on the run backhand, which Alcaraz can take advantage of. The other thing that I think Alcaraz needs to do is try to counterattack against Ruud's invertido. Alcaraz, being as strong from defensive positions as he is going to have an opportunity to take Ruud's attack from a compromised court position and to turn that into his own offense. So invertido, for those who don't know, is the forehand inside out and inside in attack. The forehand from the ad court, the backhand side of the court. And the strength of hitting forehands from there, especially for Ruud, who's exceptional at it, is that you get to hit cross court, safe cross court, lower part of the net, more court to hit into, to the righty backhand. So you get to go strength to weakness because righty backhands are weaker. Ruud gets to hit cross court forehands, inside out in this case, to righty backhands, which is huge. And it's harder for the player, if they're defending, to get it to Ruud's backhand, or whoever's doing this, their backhand, because you're camped on the ad side of the court. So there's not a lot of space to hit into the backhand side. Plus, it's usually harder to read where you're going, inside out or inside in. It's usually easier to get a read if a player is hitting forehands from the deuce court in terms of if they're going to go down the line or cross court. Anyway. Here's the weakness of hitting inside out and inside in forehands. You are leaving open space in the court. So I am curious to see if Alcaraz is going to, especially when Ruud goes inside in with the forehand, is Alcaraz going to be able to burn Casper on the counterattacking forehand cross court? Is he going to be able to burn Casper on the counterattacking backhand down the line? And it's something to watch out for. Alcaraz needs to be careful not to make too many errors from defensive positions going for that counterattack. But I think when Ruud is out of position, that is where, if I were Juan Carlos Ferrero, I would say, green light to try to turn defense into offense against Ruud's inside out and inside in forehand. Because if you just, you have to figure out a way to get out of that pattern because Ruud is so deadly there. So you might as well kind of take your chance. I also think that Alcaraz, and this one's important, he needs to rush Ruud on the first forehand if he can. That is kind of the best part of Casper's game, is his +1 forehand, and in combination with his first serve, which is excellent. I'm curious to see if Alcaraz can hit hard enough returns because, he is good at taking the return early. He just tends to miss a lot. But if he has a good day on return, can he take enough time away to really neutralize the potency of Ruud's first forehand? And I think on the second serve return, we'll probably see that quite often. He'll probably be able to do that. How Casper Ruud wins. I think Ruud needs to have a better forehand day than he did in Miami. Don't miss attacking forehands on service games. And don't expect clean winners. In Miami, Ruud was trying to finish at net. I don't think he should. I think he should be patient. And, just keep applying pressure and trust that the forced errors are going to come. Keep building and building and building with the forehand, and Alcaraz will get tired of defending. He is not someone who is willing to defend all day. He's going to try to take some risks, and you can get misses from him. So don't rush the net recklessly. Don't try to redline on the forehand like nuts because of Alcaraz's speed. Just play within yourself on the forehand, which is aggressive. I don't mean don't be aggressive. It's just don't go nuts here trying to finish points and expect to hit winners. Win the returns in play battle. Ruud has a better serve than Alcaraz, so he needs to try to showcase that improved return and win that battle, because he has a chance to do it. And it's also my, a big concern, that the biggest concern that I have for Alcaraz is how many key returns of serve he's missing, particularly on break points. So let's see if that can be an edge for Ruud. In that same respect, Ruud needs to play clutch on the break points. If he can play clutch on the break points, he can start to bother Carlitos' headspace, because I do feel that Alcaraz, he's well aware of his struggles as of late, converting break opportunities. And certainly against Sinner, for example, it started to get in his head. And that is a vulnerability right now that Ruud can take advantage of if he plays really great down break point. And then the last thing is, I got to say it, Alcaraz could be tired, I guess. Like, I don't think he will be at this point, but 2 5-setters in a row is now 3 5-setters in a row. So let's see. I don't think it's going to happen, but I got to throw it out there. Ultimately, I think Ruud's rapid improvement on the backhand and the return of serve is going to make this interesting. Far more interesting than I felt their Miami final was. But I still can't bet against Carlos Alcaraz right now. I think it's his time. I think that he has a little bit extra against Casper Ruud in multiple areas, and a little bit of X factor, a little bit of it factor when it comes to the athleticism and the shot making that I do think will push him over the edge. But I am very much looking forward to seeing how this plays out against a very, very buttoned up Casper Ruud at this point, whose weaknesses are miles better than they were just months ago. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.